Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the big surprises here on Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So tonight we're doing the episode of Big Surprise, which is an episode I do every couple of weeks, bi-weekly, I guess, alternates with the other show that we normally do, which is not what we hoped for. So this one, big surprises. Um, so normally what I do here is I pick an album that I listen to. I didn't really have any great expectations about it, and at some point I discovered that it was way better than I thought it was going to be. The one I've chosen tonight is Tab in the Ocean from Nektar. So this was my first Nektar album, really. So when I first started this channel back in August of 21, I believe it was 21. Actually, I think it was 22. It might have been 22. August of 22. So yeah, that makes sense because it was the 21. It was 21 because it would have been 3 years last August. I know that my channel says I started in July of 2016. I opened the channel just so I could watch other YouTube sites, but I never started this particular channel until August the 1st of 21. And at that point in time, the reason I decided to start it is I had ordered some albums online, 8 of them actually, and this was one of them. So that's what kind of prompted me to get into this. Of that and a few other things. But anyways, this was one of the first albums I opened and listened to. And I really know what to expect from this album. I knew that I liked the artwork, and I knew that I had heard this band was progressive in nature and had a lot of very similar sounds to other bands like Yes and Genesis and stuff that I'd been listening to. But what really surprised me is how heavy this album was. This is very heavy. It's almost, at times I almost want to call it prog metal, you know. Is it prog metal? I'm not really sure. There are definitely very heavy elements to this music. The guitar is ripping hard on this album. The keyboards are very dominating. I think the drummer is fantastic as well. Sorry, I'm going to put my glasses on. So there are basically, this is a kind of this particular issue is a kind of, I guess you might want to call this a bonus boot. Well, it's got some bonuses to it. So it's kind of maybe a more modern version of this album. So this actually has 2 CDs in it, just in case. I may have done this before. In fact, I'm sure I have. So it has 2 discs in it, as you can see, the green one and the kind of reddish brown one there. So the reason there are 2 CDs, so the original CD, which was released in 72 of this album, had 4 tracks on it: A Tab in the Ocean, Desolation Valley and Waves together, Crying in the Dark, and King of Twilight. So you've got 4 tracks, and then 4 years later they released a US mix which had Tab in the Ocean, Desolation Valley and Waves, Crying in the Dark, and King of Twilight. Just a little bit different in the length, so there's probably some editing done to maybe reduce the overall size of the songs. Except for some reason, all of them have reduced except for Desolation Valley and Waves, which was a little bit longer. So I'm not really sure why. I'd have to listen and compare the two. I don't often listen to the US mix. I prefer the original mix. So, and then there's also a bootleg disc, official bootleg disc, recorded live November the 13th, 1971 at Basanger Turn Hall in Darmstadt, Germany. And this has A Tab in the Ocean, a longer version, the longest version of the 3. Porcelain Valley, which was later called Desolation Valley. This track is also longer than the Desolation Valley and Waves tracks. And then Crying in the Dark, which was also longer. So all 3 versions were longer. And then you have the live in studio from 73 part Desolation Valley and Waves, which is about the same length, somewhere between the two versions of the US and the original version. So if you look at the back, it's really interesting looking artwork as well. Yeah, so it captured my imagination based on the artwork, but it also, the music's being so heavy. At first, I liked the initial Tab in the Ocean track, the opening track, and was really listening to much of the rest of it. And then I started like paying attention, and some of these really solid songs. All four of the tracks are great. And of course, for those of you who are Iron Maiden fans, you will know that King of Twilight, it was covered by Iron Maiden. I've actually heard this track by Iron Maiden before, and I didn't realize that it was a Nektar track until much later. So this version of the album was released in 2013. Just a really nice set. This is an excellent one. I like all the different stuff on here. The guitar part is just really the best part of the album. It's just really heavy, really good. Really way beyond my expectations of the album. So I was really pleased with the album. And then the subsequent Recycle, which was the other album I bought at the same time, which was the original version of the album. People had told me that was a better album, and then so I had higher expectations and actually was kind of disappointed in the album. But this one I was not disappointed in it at all. It's a fantastic album. So there you have it. Tonight's big surprise was Nektar's Tab in the Ocean, released originally back in 72, and then the US released in 76. And some live bootleg stuff released in 71, and some live studio stuff released in 73. So an excellent album. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please hit the like and subscribe. That is important to me because eventually I would like to be enamorized so I could at least get some kind of stuff back so that I could buy more albums, because as you know, our economy here in Canada has been decimated, and buying stuff is expensive, and I'd like to buy more so I could talk more about it. That's what it's all about. So I'm making a somewhat of an appeal to you for that. So if you want to get notified for the upcoming episodes, please hit the notification bell. That will help you to find the episodes you want. If you got any comments on anything I've said, you're free to put down there. Whether they're good or bad comments, I will try to answer them. Please don't take everything I say so seriously. I'm just one person with an opinion, and I'm hoping that lots of people have opinions on here so that we can all have a kind of community discussion on some of these albums, so that some of them get the notoriety they deserve, such as this one, and maybe some of them we can talk about why maybe they're not that great of an album, or why we were taken aback because they weren't quite what we liked, or maybe we discovered something that we really liked as a result of discussing it with other people. So, and that's happened to me quite a few times. Ben's actually given me a couple of bands that I probably wouldn't have sought out, but because he gave them to me, they've now become important bands in my collection. Anyways, I hope to see you all throughout the rest of the week. We will be doing that live stream tomorrow. I'm going to continue with this. I'm actually thinking about having a second live stream. I'm just not quite sure where I want to put it yet. We'll have one. I think the next one is going to be maybe more for the other stuff on the channel, as opposed to just the progressive stuff, which I do on Into the Progverse tomorrow. I'd like to have something maybe on some metal. I might go back to a metal show as well, because I've really started to grow an interest in metal as well. I did have this originally. That's actually how I started with the hard rock and metal, and then the prog stuff came later, but the prog is my dominant interest. Anyways, I hope to see you throughout the week, so take care, and we will hopefully see some of you tomorrow night Into the Progverse, the live stream I'll be doing at 8 o'clock Friday night. So take care and have yourself a good one. Goodbye.